All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next guest is fighting out of Ballarat, out of Infinite MMA, Harry Webb. He's 1-0. He just fought over the weekend, beat Ollie Schmidt out of Eternal 75. He just chats like what it was like with his illustrious amateur career. He's had 7 fights before his pro fight. And he won on the weekend with a rear naked choke, so he put on quite a display. He's got a really, really bright future, and some of even the Eternal officials were really highlighting him and singing his praises on the broadcast on UFC Fight Pass. You can still check that out now. But ladies and gentlemen, right now, I want you to enjoy Harry Webb. Mate, fresh off your first pro victory, how does it feel?
Better than ever. Best one yet, and yeah, I'm still on a crazy buzz at the moment. So,
is this the fight you wanted as your first pro fight? Because obviously, you come out, you start someone in 10 seconds or whatever. Is this the fight you wanted?
I always love to get knockouts, but I think it was good because I got to show off a lot of my game. I got to show off my striking, my grappling. The finish was a submission. So, no, I'm actually really happy with how the fight went. Yeah,
because a really, really game opponent, and I guess that's the trouble for you. Like, I guess some people look at it as trouble. You look at it as obviously an exciting opportunity. But you were 7-0 as an amateur. Like, a lot of guys are well aware of, even though it was your debut, that it's not your first fight.
Yeah, correct. And that's the other thing. Like, in terms of the opponent, we'd been struggling to get matchups on Demolition and on Eternal as well. So Cam hit us up with the opportunity. It was only 3 weeks out. So yeah, he just jumped straight on it. And it's not my first fight, and I've been training for a few years, and obviously I've had a lot of camps where I've had pullouts and that sort of thing. So yeah, I was definitely ready to jump into the pro ranks.
So are you running a little bit behind in terms of when you wanted to get that professional career started?
Not heaps. Like, I had a fight booked in February to be professional, and that one fell through and ended up having to take another amateur fight, which I guess wasn't really a bad thing. You know, extra experience is always good. And but I think it's actually the timeline's working out pretty perfect.
Now you're only young, but you spent 4 years as an amateur. Like, is that what you'd planned?
Nah, so I had my first amateur fight when I was 19.
Yeah.
And then obviously with the whole COVID situation, it wasn't really like much we can do about that. So I lost a year there. And actually after my first fight, I spent a whole year of just doing training camps and then having pullouts. So I think I had 4 or 5 camps in a row, a whole year where I didn't get a fight. And then I was finally booked to fight again on Demolition, and then there was COVID. So I went a whole 2 years from my first fight to my second fight. And I guess at the end of the day, it was probably a blessing. I got to work on a lot of things in between and improve. And then I felt like I was sort of at a level then when I came back, so I could just sort of fight anyone in the amateur scene. And yeah, then I smashed out like 4 or 5 in the next sort of 12 months. And yeah, here we are now. So,
and how close are you to Wayne Carl? Because obviously Demolition, you've fought, I think it was at 6 out of your 7 fights you're at Demolition. So you've obviously pretty thankful for them.
Yeah, Demolition's been awesome. Like, they have their shows really regularly and they're always organized. So it's pretty much like you have your fight, and then Wayne will be hitting up the coaches and that next week saying, oh, we've got this guy. So, you know, it was like we were getting matches all the time, and I was able to stay consistent, and they run a good show. So yeah, I'm always thankful for Demolition and Wayne and Lisa for giving me opportunities there.
Were you almost getting to the point where you were struggling to find amateur fights?
Yeah, so I had a little bit of time off in the middle of last year, and then we were offered a fight for November, but I was coming off an injury, but I was sort of at the stage where I could have taken the fight. And if there was a fight opportunity, I was going to take it. And there seemed to be one, but then that one fell through. And then they were making posts on Facebook and everything, trying to get me a fight, and just no one would accept it amateur. So then we were just like, well, we'll just wait till February and go pro.
Well, now that you are pro, is there a plan in terms of, do you want a couple of fights this year, or especially with that last performance, like what does that say going forward for the year?
Yeah, so my initial plan for the year was to have 3 pro fights, and so I had end up having the 1 amateur, and now I've had one pro fight. I'm going to Thailand in August, so I'm going to try to sneak one in between now and then I'll aim to have one more towards the end of the year. So I should still be able to get 3 pro fights this year.
Is there anyone out there that you want to get in the cage with?
Um, there's plenty of people that I want to get in the cage with. I'm not really going to call anyone out at the moment, but there's a couple of fights that probably make sense. One being Taser Malone, because that was a fight that was initially offered to me for this card, and he got an injury. So I think that's probably what Eternal will come to us with, and I'd be able to take that fight.
Do you get along with most of your opponents? Is there any bad blood with anyone around the country?
No, I've never had any sort of bad blood with anyone or any animosity going into my fights. Yeah, I'm always respectful, and everyone's always been respectful to me. So,
and in terms of the whole mixed martial arts career, like what got you into the sport to begin with?
so I just started training karate when I was a kid, and then in terms of MMA, it was about when I was 16, and I just started up with a mate. There was a lot between then. Like I did 10 years of karate, and then went over to play footy for a little bit. I got sort of sick of that, and then thought, I might jump back into combat sports, and that was just sort of after I got back into watching the UFC and that sort of thing. So yeah, me and a mate started training just for fun, and yeah, I loved it ever since. I only really got consistent with it when I turned 18, so I'd say I've been going about 5 years, sort of taking it seriously.
And how much has the karate helped with MMA?
There's definitely a few things that you can take from it. Like it's not doesn't obviously directly relate over, but I'd probably say that the main things for me would be my timing and my distance management. Like I'm really comfortable sitting at that range where I can counter and see the shots coming, and probably just like the kicks and that sort of thing helps as well.
And in terms of like, I mean, I know it's very premature, but in terms of like title shots, UFC, all that sort of next level stuff, do you have like a 5-year plan? Is there anything?
Well, obviously they're all goals that I have that I'm working towards at the moment. But I sort of just like to take things one thing after the other. Like obviously they're the end goal, but just keep taking fights as they come, and all that sort of thing is just going to fall into place itself, I think.
Awesome. And who outside of the gym really gets you through these training camps? Like, is the family supportive of what you're doing?
Yeah, so my parents have always been super supportive of me, and I don't actually live with them anymore, but when I was living with them, that they'd always like cook my meals and that for me, and they always come to my fights. They've flown up to Queensland just this weekend just to watch me fight. And yeah, like my friends and my family, they all sort of understand what sort of sacrifice I got to make, and in terms of dieting and not going out and doing that sort of thing. So yeah, I've got a lot of good people around me that definitely help me achieve my goals.
And in terms of training, are you like working full-time hours as well as trying to train?
Yeah, at the moment I'm still working full time. I work at Reese, and then I go straight from work to training for 3 hours a night, and eventually, hopefully pretty soon, I would like to go part time so I can start doing the tour days and that sort of thing. But yeah, that'll be something I have to decide on soon.
And I just want to ask you a quick question about demolition. Obviously, I love what Wayne Carl and are doing over there. Obviously, the amateurs, and you picked up a couple of belts. As a fighter, where do you put those amateur belts and that defending of the amateur belts? Because I really like what they're doing, where they're almost making like almost like an amateur league in itself. Can you kind of explain what it's like over at Demolition?
Yeah, so I think they do a good job of getting you ready for the pro level, the pro scene and that sort of thing, in terms of like, you fight and then you get your title shots and that sort of thing. Although there's no difference between the title fight, like the round time or anything like that. But yeah, and it's always good to just have that. It's like a extra trophy and that sort of thing when you get the titles. But I got a title shot after my first fight on Demolition, so pretty much was that 5 of my fights on there were for titles. So I kind of got used to it been title fights, and it's just sort of became normal. Um, but yeah, Demolition, it's really good, especially for the amateurs. They have a couple of pro fights on there, but I think they run a really good show.
I think in terms of pressure, it helped you under the bright lights because, you know, in your first pro fight, you look very composed and you look like you'd been there before. Is there anything out of the fight that you were not happy with?
The first round was pretty close, but Ollie was a good fighter, so there wasn't really anything I wasn't happy with. Obviously have to go, and my coach John will break it down with me, and there's always things to work on. Would have probably preferred a knockout, but a submission's good too. I haven't had one yet, so.
And you're like your hand placement, your hand discipline as well with your boxing, and that is second to none. Is the actual traditional boxing, is that big in your training?
Probably not just boxing. Nah, we sort of just, like, our game is just built around just MMA pretty much. Like all the stuff we take, like John will take things from certain disciplines and it'll all be related to MMA. So yeah, I'd just say it's just years of just striking practice, and that's yeah, the karate background, everything. But yeah.
When's the next time we'll see you in the cage? Are you thinking around August when you get back from Thailand, or?
Nah, yeah, hopefully early August, or like, June. No, probably not June. July, late July, early August, I'd say.
Beautiful. And mate, before I let you go, how does Harry Webb want to be remembered after it's all said and done in mixed martial arts?
Just as one of the greatest of all time. That's the goal. One more thing, I just need to clear this up. So there's like that time they call me Harrison, and half the time they call me Harry. Harrison is actually my real name, but I go by Harry. So I'd also like to remember it as Harry Webb.
Okay, Harrison's gone. Harrison's gone.
Yeah,
Harry
it's
Webb.
gone. Yeah, it's Harry. Yeah.
I love that, mate. Take it easy, and I can't wait to see you. You got a bright future in the sport.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, mate.